And we did finish the LDC. He opened up a farm, as I did, and we would occasionally handle matters either together jointly or on opposite sides. And when he joined the parliament in 2001, I'm not surprised that he was one of the influential members in passing the Amnesty Act, because he had Northern Uganda and the people of Northern Uganda at heart. We again met in 2011 in this parliament, and I remember offering myself against him for a position of deputy speaker when I was still that side before I was expelled. Fast forward, the late Jacob Oulanyah had many attributes, but one of them was that he appreciated the law. And I encourage you, Madam Speaker and your deputy, see, as speakers, you must read beyond what the members have read, because this House legislates on all matters of life. So you must know economics, you must know law, you must know medicine, you must know engineering and the like. The good thing, you both studied law, and I will encourage you to read hard before you come to preside over the session. We occasionally get bills that are drafted in a manner that is wanting, and a lot of surgery to the bills is made here. So as a speaker, you must be well versed in whatever bill is before you to ensure that the surgery is properly done. The late Jacob knew the rules of procedure so well that he did ensure that you were relevant whenever you stood up to speak. That rule of relevance helps in ensuring that matters of this House are handled in an expeditious manner, and we achieve the best. Before he passed on, we had an altercation between me and him and a few members, and it related to Rule 235. He actually made a very powerful ruling in the chair in respect of Rule 235. And I will invite you, the Madam Speaker and your deputy, to look at that ruling and invite the Rules Committee to incorporate that ruling in our rules of procedure, because it was so fundamental that it touches the business, especially that had lapsed. Lastly, Shakespeare said that uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. You speakers, based on what I used to interact with him, you will get bashed from the president because ministers will be reporting you to him when they have themselves failed to deliver here in the House. They would want you to be their defender and everything. So take heart, stand your ground, because he told me occasionally they would choose him before the president, that he would favor me for being his classmate. If when ministers start reporting you, know you are doing your job, stand your ground, be the protectors of the House, and let's have his mission and vision achieved under your guidance. May the soul of my classmate and my speaker rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. We promise to have a people-centered parliament, not a minister-centered parliament. So we'll be firm and we'll do what is correct for the good of this country. Can I have the nominator?
Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, members of Parliament, and all distinguished monarchs. One, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to pay tribute to my friend, a nationalist, a man of influence, and who is a celebrated speaker of this august House. I met late Dr. Jacob Oulanyah in the 6th Parliament, in the 7th Parliament in 2001. We were the last to be sworn in because of our names starting with O and R. So he knew me, I didn't know him. He came and greeted me in Runyankore, Osibereje. Then I realized this was a very forceful statement. So I tried to speak Runyankore, he got lost, and he said, Nimarunji. So he was in a company of a very decently dressed lady whom I learned to be his wife later. And we were both elected to the CPA branch of Uganda. He was our treasurer, I was his Dombo, Honorable Lasso, and Right Honorable Kadaga was our leader. So we had come here in the movement system. But Right Honorable Oulanyah was from our party system. And to be specific, he was the UPC. But as we went on, I realized that the Right Honorable Oulanyah was a very objective person, and we got on well since that time. So Right Honorable Oulanyah was the chairman of Legal and Parliamentary Committee, and during that time, there was a controversial constitutional amendment. And Right Honorable Oulanyah, majority of the committee was for the amendment, and although he did not agree with the amendment, he supported and brought the report of the majority. So it distinguished him as a person who was really dependable. Right Honorable Oulanyah was a dependable personality. He knew the law and he knew when to apply it. When he sat in the chair, you would feel that the chair is sitting in the chair. Right Honorable Oulanyah was fair, was very rational, and that's why he pulled all of us to his side. Right Honorable Oulanyah was a nationalist. It is also should be known that actually he demonstrated it by actually marrying from another region. If you consider most of his friends here in this house, and those who are outside, and the clerk who is presiding over this table, Right Honorable Oulanyah, most of his friends were non-Acholis. So Right Honorable Oulanyah was God-fearing. He always insisted on prayers before you did anything. And I'm quite very sure that Right Honorable Oulanyah, he's with the Lord. And I know for sure, before he left, he committed his life to Jesus Christ. He was a man of influence. And his influence was wide. But it's not the width of this influence. It's that he dealt with every group of people and in depth. It is this depth that has united all us even after his death. When we are coming from Entebbe, you saw many young men and children lining out to take pictures of the body of our speaker returning home. So really, we should learn something from the life of late Jacob Oulanyah. The legacy he has left should be emulated. Right, let me conclude. Right Honorable Speaker, he has left a very big legacy, and those of you who have stepped in his shoes should emulate it. I know you are very hard. We want to take this opportunity to thank those who helped Jacob Oulanyah during his ailment, and especially the president, who went very far to save his life. I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and those who tried to see him and support him, the Chief Justice, my brother Norbert Mao, and all of you friends who gave support in one way or the other. We have one responsibility as members of Parliament as we send off our colleague. When we mourn our friends, when we mourn our relatives, we become very, very, very emotional. But we forget one thing, and that is the family. Right Honorable Oulanyah has left children. These children, they don't have the mother. I want to thank the Chief Justice and you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the fund. And I would like to encourage my colleagues that we contribute this fund to make sure that the family of Right Honorable Oulanyah is supported so that they don't miss on education, so that they are not disorganized. I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for your attention, and I want to make a correction. The 10 cows are part of government effort. Because of the demand for animal protein and overwhelming numbers in Omoro, we are approached, and also by your office, and because of quarantine restriction in the neighborhood areas, we have a ranch in Aswa, and the board made a special sitting, and they offered 10 cows, which I communicated to the organizing committee and your office, Right Honorable Speaker. May the soul of my friend, the brother, Right Honorable Oulanyah, rest in perfect peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again in the public gallery, VIP gallery, we have Honorable David Migereko, former minister. Daudi, you're most welcome. Honorable Nakaunde Sarah, former MP. Honorable Okelo Anthony, former MP. Honorable Jacqueline Amongin, former Member of Parliament, welcome. Former Honorable Semugaba Samuel, former MP. Honorable Dominica Abu, former MP of NRC. You're most welcome. Dr. Diana Atwine, Public Secretary, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Health. And we have Honorable Amor Paul, former Member of Parliament and now an ambassador in South Africa. Honorable Alice Alaso Ashanut, you're most welcome. The Secretary General of Alliance for National Transformation. Honorable Kaluya Andrew, former Member of Parliament. All have come to witness and follow the proceedings when we are paying tribute to our fallen colleague. Honorable, can I have two people on this side first, then I come back? Honorable Semojo, so that he goes out. Honorable Semojo, he's fasting, he has to go and pray. Honorable Semojo.
I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, usually at death, people will give flowering speeches, including those who have made your life very difficult. There are lessons I have picked since the Honorable Oulanyah died. In fact, I intend to draw a list of those who will come near my body and those who will speak when I die. The Honorable Oulanyah was shot at when he was a student guild speaker in Mackay in 1991 by this government. The Minister of Health said that actually that is the origin of his problem. Madam Speaker, there are things that have annoyed me that I want to say before I say something about the Honorable Oulanyah. First, the mishandling of his death. Of course, I can't accuse this government of competence. Because you needed to explain to the public what it means to accord someone a state funeral. A state funeral is extremely expensive. But every day you are pleading, no, this is not the budget. Now this is the budget. I'll give you an example. On Friday will be public holiday. If you look at the money we collect, even as URA, it means we lose more than 60 billion shilling on Friday. But because of the incompetence, you focus the whole country of discussing 1.8 billion shilling, scandalizing the Honorable Oulanyah. But I also want to caution, especially colleagues on this side. There are benefits in joining NRM. You can become a speaker. You can become a prime minister. But you must be ready to be judged by the crimes you have not committed. People who are demonstrating about the breakdown of health infrastructure in Uganda were not demonstrating against the Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. And I don't know why the president chose to keep silent this time. Because one of the monumental stories when I was a journalist at Daily Monitor, the very first person to be flown for treatment in Germany was President's daughter, Natasha. The presidential jet eventually became an air ambulance, taking the Honorable Nobo Mayombo, taking the Honorable former Speaker. But the president, when they were harassing a dead Oulanyah, kept quiet. I don't know why, but when we wrote about the daughter the following day, he was in all the papers explaining why it is important to fly people out. This government, you need to learn. I have said these things. One of the philosophers said, and you'll forgive me if you are annoyed by what he said, I am only reminding you. He was against bringing extremely very ordinary people into high positions because they are going to be overwhelmed by power. There are people who are over simple things. The budget of this parliament is about 600 billion shilling, which means every day we sit is about 1 billion. We've not sat for 3 weeks. Do you want to blame Oulanyah for that expense? But they all kept quiet. They were there fidgeting. Madam Speaker, let me speak about Oulanyah, having made those 2 points. The first time I met Oulanyah,
As you speak about Oulanyah, the next speakers, when you stand up, speak what you think Oulanyah would love to hear. Oulanyah was a very peaceful man. Let's for now speak out politics aside. Let's talk about our leader who is lying here. What he would love to hear.
I thought that he would be happy when people are explaining the things that have happened since his death. People demonstrating.
One thing you should
Finally,
know,
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Semuju, one thing you should know, you have a very able parliament and we are handling everything. We don't have any emergency or whatever. Everything is moving according to program.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I knew, because if it was not for the intervention of this parliament and yourself, but I want to I want to leave that. Because, Madam Speaker, it is very painful. The things that have happened since Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah did. He is the first person that has attracted a statutory revision of the budget. And you bring it here and you don't want the public to discuss how you are handling his funeral. But let me, Madam Speaker, finally speak about Oulanyah. I first interacted with Honorable Jacob Oulanyah as a lawyer, then as a Speaker of Parliament. I will say one point and see it. When we are handling the Public Order Management Act, and we had a disagreement in this Parliament, later on I was one of those that he ordered to be evicted. But he was not a vindictive man. After all those problems, he reached out, and actually I learned later that it was his style of work. The Honorable Nwagaba spoke about the bills left by the last Parliament.
Dr. Lulume? Dr. Lulume?
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I am here not only to celebrate the life of the late Jacob Oulanyah, but I'm also here to mourn him. I am mourning him because at his prime time, he has departed. This was the time when a man who has worked tirelessly throughout his youthful time, building the nation, serving his country, when the world and the country is looking at him to offer leadership, not only for Parliament, but also the country, that is when the Lord has decided to call him. It is so sad. But I celebrate his life because in 1991, when I joined university, these young men just starting. They had made history at Makerere University, and his cohort included Honorable Norbert. Right Honorable Speaker, I have just used 1 minute. Thank you very much. His cohort included Honorable Norbert Mao and Honorable Okumu Ronald Reagan. These were the young men of the time from northern Uganda who inspired us. It was at that time when my cohort had organized a youthful group called the Uganda Young Democrats, and we looked up to some experienced young politicians who would inspire us. And he was one of the people that we looked up to copy from, to get people who can inspire us, get different points of views on how Uganda should be managed, and the Uganda we needed. That is why I celebrate a person of his caliber. Other members of the cohort who used to inspire us in the same organizations that we used to call them to inspire young people in Makerere University included the late Professor Akiki Mujaju, Adonia Tebelondwa, Kagenda Atwoki, Kajabagu Karusoke of the NRM, Chapa Karuhanga. Those are the people who nourished the crop of leaders who came from the Ugandan democracy. In that way, I want to celebrate his life.
Honorable Frank, Betty, Daudi, and security.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to pay tribute to my friend, my brother, and my leader. Condolences to you, Right Honorable Speaker, to the President, and to the family. Madam Speaker, we gather here with heavy hearts, feeling pain and sad on losing our brother. And we can only speak for what we feel about him. The late Jacob Oulanyah was an all-round human being. He exhibited and exuded the Ubuntu spirit. He was a true human being. He taught many of us to be patient, even when you are provoked. As a leader, provocation is inevitable. But he taught us how to manage it. Right Honorable Jacob was a very brilliant person. His intellectual depth was phenomenal, and that's why we elected him, colleagues. He was not elected for affirmative action. He was not elected to represent this. He was elected because of his abilities. It doesn't matter which political party you are. If you are brilliant, you are brilliant. And if you are a mediocre, you will be a mediocre irrespective of which political party you belong to. Jacob was never a populist. He stood for the politics of the answer and not the anger. Underline that. And that's why we should take note of his counsel, as instructive as it was. Sharpen your arguments and not your voice. That was Jacob. Honorable colleagues, it is my appeal, as we celebrate his life, let's tolerate one another. Let's know that life is a transitional process. As I conclude 1 minute, Madam Speaker, the principle of the dead are not dead is true in our brother. Spiritually, he prepared his journey to heaven. And traditionally, I see Oulanyah in the gift of his kids. Last night, Right Honorable Andrew Oulanyah made us, comforted us. I saw a leader, and I heard his voice. He speaks like him. It is my prayer, without being controversial, that the people of Omoro see the leadership in Andrew. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. I want to recognize the bikers. The bikers where the late Honorable Jacob Oulanyah was a member, have been there for us since the body arrived in Uganda. And the bikers are seated right out there, and one of them is inside here. Biker President, can you stand up? He's one of the bikers. I want to thank you so much for escorting our brother. Yes, Betty?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I come to mourn a brother who had dreams and hope for this country, a powerful force who understood that he could not stand alone, that he needed not only the people of northern Uganda, but he needed the people of Uganda and the people of the world for him to flourish. That is the brother we are honoring today. I was with him in Juba during the peace process, and I was the chairperson of the observer team of the people of northern Uganda, and I worked with him. But for Right Honorable Jacob, his principle, even when he was at the peace talk, he indicated that we need to engage. We need, because Kony had given us a condition that unless they removed, the ICC court had removed the arrest warrant, he would not sign the peace talk. And Oulanyah came to me and said, my sister, we must do everything to ashame Joseph Kony so that if he does not sign, they don't say the people of northern Uganda did not work. Let us go to the Hague. We talked to the chief prosecutor, Ocampo. Let us go to UN Security Council. Let us go everywhere. And indeed, we moved everywhere. We went to the Hague. We went to New York at the UN Security Council. We did everything. And by the time it would not be no excuse would be given by Joseph Kony, and he gave us a... Let me just finish. That is when Joseph Kony refused to sign. However, the most important thing for us, for people of northern Uganda, we signed the cessation of hostility, agenda number 1, which he helped in drafting that agenda. And with that agenda, the soldiers and all the rebel groups were moved from northern Uganda to Oulanyah in southern Sudan, and that was the beginning of peace in northern Uganda up to now. My brother, I want to say, history will reward your accomplishment, reward you for what you have done. Generations to come will read the contribution, accomplishment that you made for this country. Rest in peace.
Thank you, Betty. Daudi. Members, you're all going to speak. The whole day is dedicated to Jacob.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to extend my condolences to the people of Uganda, to you, the Chief Justice, the Deputy Speaker, and colleagues, upon the death of our dear brother, friend, and Speaker. Jacob was an effective and courageous Deputy Speaker and Speaker who instilled in us discipline of time management, the virtues of patience and respect, and mentored many to become better legislators. Colleagues, he never wanted this House to be consumed by pettiness, but by engaging in debates on service delivery and the destiny of our country. He wanted big and productive debates, and he insisted on evidence as a guide to quality debates. A legacy I'm glad to mention that the two speakers are following and carrying on. Colleagues, one of the greatest tragedies in life is to watch the demise of an unexhausted potential. What a tragedy that death has cut short the potential of our dear brother Jacob. Jacob had immense potential to transform this parliament into a center of service delivery and strengthen this institution into a source of justice and just law. Dr. Myers Munro, whom we invited in 2012 to speak to us at the National Prayer Breakfast, said, "The wealthiest spot on this planet is not the oil fields of Kuwait or the golds and diamonds of Africa, but they lie in our graveyard. The dreams that never came to pass and the purposes that never fulfilled." Right, Honorable Jacob? Just 1 minute of bringing parties in this House together in defense of our democracy. He believed that nothing should divide us because we, the people, had a common history and destiny. You remember when he won the speakership in May 2021, he said, "Ribo and Teko," that unity is strength. So this is the potential that we will bury on Friday in Omoro. Colleagues, it's painful to go through this experience. It teaches us that in the words of the psalmist, to number our days, so that we may gain the wisdom to know that on this earth, all is vanity. It compels us, as the scripture tells us in Proverbs 20:30, to learn how to change our ways. And finally, friends, can we use this experience to once again ask ourselves who we are and of our purpose and potential? May we endeavor each day of our time here on earth to use the potential in us to fulfill the purpose of working for the good of mankind and transformation of our country. May the soul of our brother Jacob rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. Honorable Muhesi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members of Parliament, I bring condolences from the people of Rujumbura and Rukunjiri and indeed my family to His Excellency the President, to you, Right Honorable Speaker, to His Lordship, the Chief Justice, and to the people of Uganda. I would like wholeheartedly to add my voice in paying tribute to a gentle giant who has made immense contribution to this Parliament and this country at large. What pains me most about Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah is talking about him when he's lying here dead. I wish we said what we are talking about him when he was still alive and he knew what we think about him. Today, we pay well-deserved tributes to an outstanding debater whose oratory, skills, and eloquence graced this august house for so many years. His talent was so unique that one would wonder how God could bless a single person with all those attributes, being quick-witted, smart, both physically and intellectually, combined with an exceptional sense of humor. Lying before us today is a gentleman who was capable of lighting up a dull and boring event with stupendous humor and could get everyone cracking their ribs thereafter. And yet, even with this sense of humor, he was able to maintain a very high level of seriousness and relevance to the matter at hand. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to mention and applaud the national character that the late Jacob Oulanyah demonstrated. I speak for everyone in this august house when I say that the late made friends across the entire political spectrum. This is no mean feat, given our sometimes very sharp political differences. Was campaigning to for northern Uganda, a campaign that was majorly conducted virtually. The late Oulanyah made it a point to record a message in a language that could be understood in all the 4 regions of Uganda. Finally, I would like to salute the late Right Honorable Oulanyah as a highly talented and knowledgeable lawyer. This parliament is guided among others by the laws, by the Constitution, our rules of procedure, and the Administration of Parliament Act. Oulanyah's grasp of all these laws was unmatched. His career tells it all in the nutshell. From Guild Speaker to Member of Parliament to Chairperson of the highly demanding Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee to Deputy Speaker and finally Speaker. Honorable contribution to this great nation if he had stayed a little longer. However, God decided that he had made his contribution, and I now pray that we carry forward the mantle of leadership and emulate all the things late Jacob Oulanyah held in high regard. Right Honorable Speaker, I condole with the family, the people of Omoro, Acholi, and the entire nation. May God rest him in eternal peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Jim. Honorable Nambose, Nambose Betty. Jen, are you Nambose? Nambose Betty. Akelo Lucy. All of you are going to speak. Akelo Lucy Katuntu.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people of Mukono Municipality, I wish to extend our condolences to the family. Most so, Madam Speaker, it is a very, very difficult moment when an old man has to bury his son. And this is the condolences I'm extending to the father of our fallen speaker, the children, and all those people related to him, including the people of Omoro, whom he has represented in this house, where I've had an opportunity to work under him for over 10 years now. Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues have said what they have said, and I want to agree with them. But as I support this motion, I want to recall that a few years ago, Uganda thought about stopping what those people in foreign countries call medical tourism. And a company came here, Madam Speaker, and we guaranteed it. And the agreement was that within 2 years, we would have an hospital here in Uganda, and that from then on, Madam Speaker, from then onwards, we shall stop taking our own or even ourselves for treatment abroad. The last thing I heard about Rubowa is that they even chased away a committee of this house that had gone to assess the level of implementation. Madam Speaker, I therefore pray that this matter be brought back in this house, so that at least even when we have to lose our own, even when we have to die, let's die near our friends, near our relatives. Lastly, Madam Speaker, a case does not die. If the minister stood here and said that Right Honorable Speaker Oulanyah was nursing trauma and marks of torture from an attack by his own security people in the country. Madam Speaker.
Honorable Nambose, there was no issue of torture. It was a strike at the university. Don't put words in the minister's statement. It was nothing in regard with the torture.
I'm guided, Right Honorable Speaker. But Madam Speaker, I was suggesting that it is high time an inquest be put up so that this country can once and for all deal with the issue of the poison scare in this country, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I am also glad that Honorable Betty is one of those beneficiaries who has been taken out by Parliament for treatment. And the point she's raising is the point she's raising is very, very important on the issue of Lubowa Hospital. Lubowa Hospital must be worked on.
Thank you.
Lucy?
Yes, Mayor. Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Lucy Katuntu.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. On behalf of the people of Amuru District, the Catholic Chaplaincy, and on my own behalf, allow me pay my tribute to a brother and a friend. Madam Speaker, I got to know Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah when I was a student in Makerere. He had come to officiate over the handover ceremony of the Acholi Makerere Student Association. I was impressed by how he spoke and inspired. Today I am in the August House thanks to him. Thank you, my brother. I want to say that Jacob was a man who loved his family. I remember there's a time I went to his office and he said, "My sister, you are going to wait because I have to take a cake for my daughter in school." And he left all of us there and ran to take a cake for the daughter. And I'm assuming this daughter must be a team. And that is how much he loved his family. He was a pro-life man. And may he continue to fight for the children even when he is in heaven. Another thing, he stood for the common man and woman. I remember how he stood strongly about the issue of nodding syndrome. Madam Speaker, as we pay tribute to Jacob Oulanyah, and I urge government, the center, the nodding syndrome center in Omoro, let me just conclude on this, that has gone to dust. May we resurrect this center and make it work if we are to really remember the good work of the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah for the sake of the thousands of the nodding syndrome children in northern Uganda who are suffering and dying every day. This was something he was very passionate about, and as a parliament, we need to set aside money for these children so that they also live like human beings. Rest in peace, my brother.
Haji Katuntu.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to eulogize a brother, a friend I have known for 34 years. I don't know how many people in these chambers have known the late Jacob Oulanyah for as long as I have, but they are not many. And on that account, Right Honorable Speaker, I request that you give me an extra 2 minutes to tell you what I know about Jacob Oulanyah. Right Honorable Speaker, in 1988, I was a second year at university. I met 2 men, one very tiny and short. Later on, I came to know that that very tiny and short man was coming from Namiryango, and he had been a head prefect. Another one, a little bit tallish, with a jacket, and I later came to learn he was Jacob Oulanyah. At that time, the Uganda People's Congress officials were recruiting us students to participate in students' politics. And that's how I and Jacob Oulanyah were recruited in student politics. And we are all members of the Uganda People's Congress. We are recruited by Professor Kagenda Atwoch, the late Akiki Mujaji, the late Patrick Mwonda, Ben Watcher. Later on, we met the Honorable Kelo Kelo and the Honorable Abede Gongom. And of course, Yona Kanyomos. They took us to Uganda House to meet the boss then, who was a very patronizing woman, and she has remained patronizing up today. And she just seated right behind me, the Honorable Cecily Ogwal, who was now the Assistant Secretary General of UPC. We indulged in student politics. We became members of the Gidi Representative Council, the Students' Parliament. The late Jacob competed for speakership like I had competed and lost to a certain Ngabo, but he competed and beat somebody looking at me now. The late Jacob Oulanyah's second election at university, he beat somebody I'm looking at now, who is now a clerk of parliament, the former Minister of Defense, the Honorable Adolf Mwesige. But let me tell you one thing. The other short man I was talking about and Jacob, if you met them at that time, you would dismiss them until they opened their mouth. Then you would know these guys were obscenely intelligent. Obscenely intelligent. And they were orators. But let me tell you one thing about Jacob. Him and that short gentleman, I'm not going to mention that short gentleman's name because
Mao.
It's called Mao. Okay. Right Honorable Speaker, Robert Mao was then a member of the Democratic Party, which has remained up to now rising to being the president. Jacob Oulanyah was a member of Uganda People's Congress like me. He eventually became NRM, but you do not separate them. That is Jacob. Political persuasion did not in any way affect their personal relationship. Then I asked myself, what is this that divides us? That you quarrel, you fight? I think that's the biggest lesson you have to learn from Oulanyah. That even me, when I left UPC, after I left him there, and I went some other place. Though I have since then left that place, now I'm in self-isolation. Up from that time, we are together. And the late Jacob Oulanyah left Uganda Peoples and joined the nationalist movement, rising up to being a vice chairman of the party. Jacob was a very courageous person. He was intelligent and he was magnanimous. Honorable colleagues, do you remember on the day he was elected the speaker? Do you remember that speech? Because you see, if you win, you reach out to the vanquished. And that's what he did. There are very few winners who apologize to the people they have beaten. Oulanyah did. That's the gentleman lying in that casket. What more would you need of a leader? We joined this parliament same day in June 2001. When I look around, there are not many of us still around anyway. Honorable Cooper, Honorable Mafabi there, Honorable Amos, Honorable Anyuma, you are our senior, and you took even a sabbatical. Honorable Anifa, no, we are the only ones. And I can tell you, for all these years from 2001, we've worked closely with Jacob. Jacob is not, whether you know him today, tomorrow he'll call you in the office and you sort matters out. And that's where it will end. Not that we did quarrel. Honorable colleagues, we used to quarrel with the late Jacob. By the way, big quarrels. One time we were quarreling about how the UPC government fell. And I was accusing some people and he was accusing others. And we clashed. We took like around 3 or 4 days without talking. Then eventually we met and we went to his office. Let me tell you, Honorable Oulanyah is a man you can rely on. He's a man you could rely on. Jacob, I can spend the whole day talking about you, but you are gone anyway. You are gone. Right, Honorable Speaker, what lesson do we get for those of us who have lived with Jacob? One, be courageous. One, you can rise. You can rise. Jacob rose from nothing in the NRM as a recruit up to vice chairman. What more would you need? That is Jacob, very brilliant and very courageous. But even then, Jacob had a sense of humility. You not see when you interact with him that this is the big man. Yes, he was a little bit pompous, especially with his bow tie. Very smart. He was smart both figuratively and physically. But Jacob did not despise anybody. Even when you had what he thought was a disagreement, he would find a way of putting humor into it and say, let us engage. And that's what leaders should be. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are going to bury one of the best leaders this country will ever have. It was an honor for me to know you, Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. May your soul rest in peace till we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Katuntu.
Thank you very much.
Please switch on your, not Nathan. There's a lady, yes. Nathan, you can speak while seated.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the 6.5 million persons with disabilities in this country, I'd like to bring our condolences to especially the family of the fallen Speaker of Parliament. I'm going to say one thing, that for the few months that I have known the Right Honourable Speaker, he was a reflection of Proverbs 11, which says, pride comes before a fall, but the humble are full of wisdom. That is my only explanation of who the late Jacob was. I can't forget when I walked into his office and he got off from his chair, pulled a chair for me, we talked, I was going out, carried my bag, walked me to the door. I have never seen such a humble man. I want to appeal to us as leaders. If you are at the level of Jacob Oulanyah, would you still be humble? When you're in a public office, and what is killing our public officers is pride. When people get one escort, they don't look at other people like they're human beings. When people are shown public officers, they can't even say hello to the people they are seated next to. Leaders of this country, if we can be humble, God will give us the wisdom that Jacob had. But if we remain proud, we shall fall and shame shall be on us. I want to say to the people in public offices that those offices are temporary. You will not stay in those offices for the rest of your lives. Be humble.
Preach.
Accept people the way they come. Those who are rich, those who are poor, those who are dressed in rags, when they come to those offices, they are public offices. Put your pride aside, because God has given you that office for a period of time. I thank you, Madam Speaker. Rest in peace, Jacob.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Nathan. Mama Mavenjina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am sorry I'm allergic to mask, please. I have not been putting on mask. Madam Speaker.
Nathan, can you put on a mask? You're allergic?
I'm allergic to it.
Okay.
I'm sorry about it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to join my colleagues to mourn a Ugandan. I met him in 2001, but I found him a good steward. A man whose culture of timekeeping had no boundaries. The man who believed that you should not say she, he, they, but we Ugandans. He taught us that we should behave like Americans. That an attack on one American, all of them. Ugandans, we don't have it. We are here in political lines. But Oulanyah was special. Oulanyah was special. Oulanyah was one person who could not to see anybody, treated everybody equally. And I would want all of us treat other people the way you want to be treated. And at the end of the day, every dog has its day. Some people have had it because of not being fair to others. And what can we do to him? It is to emulate him, to do what he used to want. For example, Oulanyah came up in 2001 when we had induction, which we haven't been able to have. And I appeal to you, if you want to remember Oulanyah, let's have an induction so that this. We are lucky that we still have good Ugandans. Honorable Ben Wacha, Mao, Winnie Byanyima, and many others, Okero. These people can take us through They will take us through the etiquette and decorum of Parliament. I appeal to you members that this gentleman is not the usual Ugandan. Some of you trade on simple, trivial things, but he had the bigger things. And he said, quality of debate. And you will not get a good quality of debate unless you have been inducted. There are some senior people believe that we are all equal. We are not. There are some better people in the areas. It's something he told to me. Bianyima never come from one social committee to another, remain in one and be a specialist. Don't jump from one to another, because there is life after Parliament. So after Parliament, after being in the Committee of Agriculture, you will be an expert, although you could not have qualifications. But people jump from one committee to another one. He was in 2 committees, legal and parliamentary, and rules and procedure, and he excelled. So I appeal to you, Madam Speaker, that spare some time and money, let these members who are very willing to and villagers to run, so that they can be taken through an induction and we become one, and unity of this Parliament should be something that we should pay him. May his soul rest in eternal peace. I thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. And remember, as I said at the beginning, as Parliament of Uganda, we had to forego a number of programs in the name of trying to save the life of our leader. And on that note, we are going to have orientation in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time we'll have orientation, now that we have fought the fight which we have lost. Kanungu. Mama Mavenjina, then Kanungu.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to apologize our great son, our great leader who is lying before us. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I got to know the late Honorable Jacob Oulanyah in 1991, not in the university, as others have already said, but I was invited by my sister to come and cook for their graduation party. And my sister is the mother of Frank Nigel Utembi, who is the director of the Law Development Center. In 1991, the 4 of them graduated together. That is the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, Frank Nigel Utembi, Frank Olok Asabasi, and Honorable Norbert Mao. And so I was selected to be their chief cook, while my sister accompanied them to Makerere. So I did my best. I cooked very nicely. After graduation, they all came to Bukoto, and we enjoyed the celebration together with them. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in the 6th Parliament, that is 1996, when I joined the Parliament of Uganda, the late Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah and his late wife Dorothy used to attend the same fellowship with me in Fairway Hotel, and General Eli Tumwine was a member of that fellowship, Mama Grace Kiria was a member of that fellowship, and Honorable Tim Luanga, Honorable Tim Kruta, and Paul Chama, to mention but a few. We used to pray together, and that is how I got to know Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah.